Hi, everybody. My name's Jackie Benestante, and I'm from the Autism Society of Texas. And we are having another Seminars Across the Spectrum today on a great topic, all about the Texas ABLE account and the savings plan for people with disabilities. It's really, really helpful. And we happen to know a little bit about it because we've done one of these presentations in the past, and I think you guys are going to learn a lot. Our presenter today is Anna Mallett, and she is an outreach specialist for Texas ABLE, and she's really great. We're going to get a lot of good information. She has a presentation to share, and then we are going to take questions at the end. So if you have questions, you can post them in the chat, and I will ask Anna all of our questions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and let Anna take over, and I'm going to stop my video, and Anna's got her screen up. She's, I think, ready to go. Well, Anna, you know what? Your screen is down now. Like, you were full screen and now your presentation's gone.
Of course, that's how this works. Let's see here. Let's try this again.
Okay, let's see. There we go. You're full screen now. You're good. So you're good to go.
Very good. Thank you very much, Jackie, for that introduction, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. As Jackie mentioned, my name is Anna Mallett. So I'm an outreach specialist for the Texas Achieving a Better Life Experience program, or the Texas ABLE program. So I work for the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. So we're a state agency here in Austin, and we manage the Texas ABLE program. So I'm super excited to be here today to tell you a little bit about the program. As Jackie mentioned, just a few things before we get started. So I'm going to cover quite a bit of information. What I plan on, I'll give you just a little agenda here, what I plan to cover. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about kind of the history of ABLE, what ABLE is. Some of you may be familiar with it, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what it means to you and kind of how you can get it for yourself or a loved one. We'll talk about the basics of it. Who's eligible, how much can you contribute, that kind of thing. And then the second half of the presentation, I'll talk more about the Texas program. So we'll talk about kind of how to get started with that, and then some of the savings options and that kind of thing. So we'll leave you with some resources, but as Jackie mentioned, so if you've got questions as we go through, I'm going to cover a lot of information. Feel free to put them in the chat box, and we're going to gather them, and then we'll come back at the end and kind of highlight and really talk informally about and answer any questions that you guys have along the way. So again, I'm just hoping at the end of the day that you guys are going to be able to take something back, grab some good information of how you can, get ABLE into your life or someone that you love, and get started in the program. So let's talk about ABLE and kind of what it is. Now, before we get started, I will tell you that we do have some attorneys in our office. And so whether I am talking to a group of parents statewide, at an event, or doing a webinar, I always have to let you know that the information that I'm giving today is very, very much a highlight of the program. So we have this a disclosure statement and participation agreement on our website. It has all the rules and regs of the program. So I'm not able to give financial advice or tax advice. So that's important. And I've just got to let you know that right up front. So let's talk about ABLE. I think, a couple years ago, I think it was during COVID, I had a chance to come out and I think we did one of these a couple years back. And so some of you may be familiar with ABLE, or you may have heard about it, but let me give you just kind of a breakdown of what it is. ABLE is based on, it's a savings program. It's based on a law that was passed back in 2014 called the ABLE Act. It was named after a gentleman by the name of Stephen Beck. And essentially what the law did, it created a new savings program or new savings option for individuals with disabilities and their families to put their own money away in a tax advantaged account. Okay, so saving your own money, using the money in the account for expenses related to the individual's disability, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but all while keeping the eligibility for public benefits, right? So this is SSI or Medicaid, being able to put their own money away, whether they're receiving benefits now or whether they'll receive benefits in the future, keeping that eligibility, okay? And so it created this new savings option. The law itself was created, by Stephen Beck, or it was founded after Stephen Beck. He was a disability advocate, but he was also a parent of a child with special needs. And this is important because the story is, the way the law came about is Stephen, along with other parents that had children with special needs, were sitting around his kitchen table one night and they were talking about long-term saving strategies for their kids. How in the world are we going to be able to save long-term and keep our eligibility, or keep that child's eligibility for important benefits that they're going to need long-term: medical therapies, education, housing, independent living, allowing them to have that achieving a better life experience, right? And so they lobbied to create the law, and it was passed in 2014. It took them 10 years to pass it, but it truly was a game changer for the way that individuals and their families, or individuals with disabilities and their families, could save. Now, one of the other things that the law did was it authorized states to administer the programs. So this is important because the only way an individual can enroll in a program is through a state administered plan. So here in Texas, our program is administered through the comptroller's office. So, and I'm going to give you more information about that in just a moment. But again, it truly was a game changer for the way folks can save. Now, before I get started on the basics of the program, I will tell you there are other states that do have ABLE programs, 40 plus states that have ABLE programs, and we work with their agencies to push out information about ABLE, to let folks know about it, because generally it's fairly new. Even though it was founded in 2014, we're still spreading the word, right? And so we worked with these agencies to put together a little informational video. And so I'm going to go ahead and play it for you now. Jackie, if for some reason you can't hear it, please let me know.
I will.
Thank you.
As someone who has a son with Down syndrome, this law was one of the best things that's happened to the disability community in a very long time.
In 2014, Congress passed the ABLE Act to help families with disabilities save for life.
The ABLE Act is a game changer for Americans living with disabilities, but there's a problem.
Only 50,000 Americans are currently using ABLE accounts to save.
And more than 14 million are eligible.
An ABLE account is a savings plan that people with disabilities or their families can use to save for someone with a disability the same way that people can save for someone without a disability.
Ethan has needed extensive dental work, which has cost thousands and thousands of dollars. You can go down the list, and pretty much every part of his life took on an added expense.
ABLE allows people with disabilities to put money away that they can use in the future to cover essential life costs,
without the risk of losing government disability benefits.
We save for Audrey through an ABLE account the same way that we save for my other daughter with a 529 college plan.
Before ABLE, people with disabilities who depended upon government benefits to cover the high cost of living with a disability couldn't have savings of more than $2,000 without risk of losing their benefits.
Nobody can live off $2,000.
This limitation made it extremely difficult for many people with disabilities to live independently.
Do you want to be in a place where you can live all by yourself and do all the things that you want to do in your dreams?
Yes.
With ABLE, you can save without losing SSI, Medicaid, HUD, and other important benefits.
ABLE allows you to set aside up to $15,000 each year.
If there's one thing you need to know about the ABLE account, it's that your money grows tax-free.
But the difference is that you can use it at any time to pay for any eligible disability-related expense.
My favorite thing about ABLE is that it is flexible and simple. That I just go and sign up on the website and it's done and I'm saving.
Stable,
dependable,
Capable,
Enable,
available. We need your help to spread the word on ABLE.
I'm excited to announce a new savings program for Texans with disabilities administered through my office. It's called the Texas Achieving a Better Life Experience, or ABLE program. With the Texas ABLE program, eligible Texans with disabilities and their families can save money for short and long-term disability-related expenses in a tax-advantaged account. For too long, many Texans with disabilities have been unable to work towards financial independence. Texans with disabilities now have a path towards a better future. Find out more today at texasable.org.
So yeah, the video provided just a nice little overview of some of the things that I'm going to talk about in the next.
Anna, I think you froze, or maybe it's just me. Hey, Anna, okay, you're back. You know what? Your screen is not sharing anymore. If you want to try again. Okay, no worries. Yeah, let's see.
Technology is so wonderful.
I know.
At times, right? And then times, here we go. Are we good?
You're good. You're full screen.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right, everybody, we're back. So the ABLE account. So again, these are tax advantaged. They're investment accounts. They're savings accounts, but they're investment accounts for individuals with disabilities. Again, I mentioned this, these are your own private funds that you're putting away. They're intended to supplement any other funding that you may be receiving or plan to receive through SSI or SSDI. This is important by law, whether the individual is 3 years old or whether they're 43 years old, they are the owner of the account. So that is important. And you can only have one ABLE account per beneficiary. So meaning you can't, some of the other states have, their programs are open to out-of-state residents, excuse me. Texas is open to just Texas residents. So you can't have an account in Virginia and then also have one in Texas. So that's important to note as well. Benefits of the account, obviously being able to save and keep that eligibility or that future eligibility. I mentioned the future eligibility because what we notice is a lot of our families may not be receiving benefits now, but very likely when that individual with a disability or that child with a disability gets of 18 years of age and they go to apply for benefits on their own as an adult, we know that that individual cannot have more than $2,000 in resources in their name, or they would not qualify for those benefits. And so hence here comes the ABLE account, right? So with these ABLE accounts, you can have money in the ABLE account, go and that individual goes to apply for those benefits, and they do not count the money that's in the ABLE account as resources for that individual. So allowing them to have the ABLE account, being able to save prior and not counting it as that eligibility. So thus they would qualify for those benefits. So that's the huge benefit behind it. These are tax-free withdrawals if they're used for disability related expenses. This is financial independence for really individuals or working individuals that have never been able to save, right? So we work, we want to put our money away and be able to save for a better life experience long-term. The ABLE account is a great option for those families to be able to do this. It's peace of mind for mom and dad, for grandma, grandpa, anyone wanting to have this savings account as a way to save for when they're no longer around, being able to have that peace of mind for the family. Choice and control. This was mentioned in the video earlier. One of the huge benefits of an ABLE account is you get to decide how you want the money put in, how much you want to put in, if and when you want to use it, and then what you use it for related to the disability. So you get to manage it. You have that choice and control on how, if, and when you use it. Also, another benefit is anyone can contribute. This is huge because this could be anyone. This could be the individual with a disability. This could be mom, dad. It could even be an organization. The Autism Society may want to contribute into an ABLE account, or they may set it up for a special needs trust to fund money directly into an ABLE account. So all of these contributions can be put into an ABLE account. So based on the federal law, there are some eligibility requirements just to be able to have the ABLE account. The law says that the individual with a disability, that their disability has to have occurred before the age of 26. Okay, so again, they can be 2 years old, they can be 52 years old, but as long as their disability occurred before the age of 26, they would be eligible to have that account. Now, in addition to that age requirement, they do have to meet one of the following criteria that you see here on the screen, okay? So if they're currently eligible to receive or, receiving SSI or SSDI, and they meet that age requirement, they would be eligible to have that ABLE account. They could also have a condition from the Social Security Administration's list of compassionate allowances, and that age requirement, they would be able to meet the definition. And then they would have the third option is going to be through a self-certification. This would be a physician's diagnosis stating that the disability occurred before that age of 26, and that they meet the Social Security Administration's definition of what is considered disabled. So again, when you enroll, you don't have to upload anything. It's all done through a certification process. Now, here in Texas, the individual with a disability does have to be a Texas resident. So that is important to note as well in order to enroll in the Texas program. So who can open the account? There are two ways to open an account. First is going to be that individual with the disability. They meet the eligibility requirements. They're a Texas resident. They're 18 years of age. The beautiful thing is they can open it. They can manage it on their behalf, right? Or they can elect to have an authorized legal representative open it and manage it on their behalf. This is going to be a parent, a guardian, or some other form of fiduciary, such as a power of attorney for that individual. The IRS just actually increased the regulations for who could serve as an ALR, an authorized legal rep. They increased it to a grandparent, a spouse, a sibling, and then also a Social Security rep payee as well. So they've really increased the list of that, and that will go into effect a little bit later this month. So just to let you know, but those are the two ways to open the account and who can open it and manage it. So also by law, there are limits to how much can go into an ABLE account in per one year, calendar year, so or taxable year actually. So from $16,000 a year can go in the ABLE account, and that's from all the sources combined that I mentioned earlier. That's actually just a side note, that's the gift tax exclusion rate for the federal government. So it's as of 2022, that rate is $16,000. In 2023, it's going to be $17,000 a year. So that's actually going to increase. That's the most you can have in an ABLE account in one taxable year. Now, if the individual with the disability is working and they have an ABLE account and they are not contributing to an employer-sponsored retirement plan, they changed the law to allow for those individuals to save, of course, the $16,000 in the ABLE account, but also an additional $12,880 on top of the $16,000 and into that ABLE account per taxable year. Now, the $12,880 are going to be working wages. So being able to work, put the money into the ABLE account as well. The most lifetime limit that can go into an ABLE account here in Texas is going to be $500,000. So that's important to note as well. So remember, every taxable year, there's the limits up to the $500,000. So a couple of things to keep in mind for the families that receive SSI or plan to receive SSI in the future. So what this slide shows is an important threshold for all ABLE accounts. And it says that essentially you can save up to $100,000 in your ABLE account. And if that individual with a disability is receiving monthly SSI benefits, that those benefits are temporarily suspended, monthly benefits, until the account goes back down under the 100,000. Okay. That's very, very important. Also very important to know, just because those monthly SSI benefits are temporarily suspended when it reaches 100,000, Medicaid benefits, so those health benefits, those waiver services, those are always going to remain no matter what, even if when the account does go over the 100,000. So very, very important thresholds to note. Also, the money that goes into the account, it being working wages, it's still considered as countable income for SSI determination purposes. So that's very important to note as well. I often get questions about working wages. And again, lots of information I'm covering here, so I'm happy to go back at the end and clarify anything I may have missed, or if you've got questions on. So the law says the funds in the account are to be used for what we call disability related expenses. Well, what in the world is a disability related expense? At the end of the day, a disability related expense is anything that is to be used for the benefit of that individual with a disability, and it's used to maintain his or her health, their independence, or their quality of life. That is a very, very broad definition of what is a disability expense. Remember, these are tax advantaged accounts. So the IRS kind of helps us determine what those categories of disability expenses would be. But these include basic living expenses also. So this is, day-to-day expenses. This could be food. It could be housing, it could be clothing, basic living expenses for that individual with a disability. The IRS does give us categories here, and I've listed them for you on this slide. But you'll see it's very, very broad, because at the end of the day, a disability expense for my child or for me may look very different for your situation and what you would need to use the funds in your ABLE account for. Just to name a few of these and seeing some of the ways that our families are using the accounts. Education is certainly an option to pay, to be able to use as a disability expense. Housing, so this could be a mortgage payment, or it could be a utility bill, or that type of thing, a property tax bill. Transportation, this could be a modification to a vehicle. This could be a vehicle to get to and from work, right? It is enhancing that individual's health, their independence, or their quality of life. You got to be able to bring it back to that definition. Employment training and support, assistive technologies, support services. This could be attendance services. This could be a cell phone, a screen reader, these types of things. Health, prevention, wellness, obviously medical therapies that you may be paying for out of pocket that are not covered through your insurance, that type of thing. Dental bills we saw in the video, those types of things. And then also there's other types of administrative fees. If you were to be working with someone to set up a special needs trust, or you had certain things like that, you could pay for those types of expenses out of the ABLE account. Also, funeral and burial are considered disability expenses too. So that is something to keep in mind. But again, at the end of the day, whoever's managing it, whether it's that individual with the disability or that authorized legal rep, they're in control of how they use it and what they use it for. We're not in the business of approving or denying how it's used. Being able to keep the adequate receipts and being able to justify if they were ever asked as to the disability expense and what it was used for. So, and I'll cover more about that in just a moment. So let's talk really quick. I've got some slides. My next few slides cover information on the Texas program. So I mentioned earlier that the individual with a disability has to be a Texas resident. We are very proud of our program. We launched in 2018, so right before COVID. And so we're very, very grassroots. We don't have a huge marketing budget. So myself and Vanessa Goodson, we are the outreach team. And we really travel around the state promoting the program. And so we are very, very grassroots and trying to get the word out. We have an advisory committee that actually you guys may be familiar with. Chris Macy, I think was your director. He was actually on our advisory committee and he's always spoken very highly of ABLE and helped us push out information on it. He was on our advisory committee. So he helped kind of build the program. It's an online enrollment process. We have an online account management. Important to know, there's no physical bank that you can go to. Everything is done through our website. I often get people ask, well, can I walk into a Wells Fargo or can I go down to Chase Bank? They won't have access to ABLE accounts. They won't know really anything in. They may know about them, but the only way, again, that an individual or a family can enroll is through a state. So here in Texas, texasable.org is everything you need to know about the program, as well as where you'll go to enroll. You'll see there on the screen that big green button. That's where you'll go to get started in the program. And so the online process walks you through the process as far as guiding you and how to get started. It doesn't cost anything to enroll in the program, but when you get ready to make your first contribution, it's going to be a $50 minimum contribution. So that's relatively low to get started. And then anything above that is that $25 minimum. So again, you can do anything from $50 up to that $16,000 a year, just depending on how you want to use that account. Okay. Now, during the enrollment option or the enrollment process, you get to select how you want your funds or your contributions that go into the account, how you want them to be saved, okay, or invested. So this is the part in the presentation. Usually when I'm speaking to a large group of folks, they kind of look at me kind of glassy-eyed and going, what does this really mean, Anna? This is a lot of information on this slide. And at the end of the day, what this says is there's 5 investment options or 5 ways to save your money. So when you go through the process, you'll see here the 4 on the left-hand side are what we call managed allocation options. So they range from aggressive to conservative. And then the 5th option is going to be a bank savings. It's an FDIC insured bank savings option. So you're going to go through here and you get to decide based on your situation, how you want to allocate those funds. So you may say, I want to put 50% of my contributions into the aggressive allocation, and then I want to put 50%, for example, in the bank savings option. So, you can decide that. Also, by law, you can go in and into the online account and change your investment options up to twice a year. So I will tell you that everything you ever want to know about the investment options, including all the funds underneath them, their performance, how they're performing over time, can be found on our website. So we definitely encourage you to look at that information and kind of decide. And it's important, whoever's opening the account, that if it is the individual with the disability, if they're, if they may need help moving forward, or, as far as through the process, that someone's kind of helping and guiding and making these choices as they go through there. And again, you can change them up to twice a year, but it's important to note when you get through that process, as you're going through that process. One of the other features for the Texas program is we have what we call an online e-gift tool. And what this is, and we find a lot of our families are using this, it's a way for whoever's managing that account. What they do is they go into that online account and they can send out a message, an email message to family, to friends, really anyone. And what it does is it sends this message out and then it invites that individual to make a contribution directly back into the ABLE account. Now, what this does, it's a secure way for that individual to get the money directly into the account. But the great thing about it is it's a way for individuals to give without handing money to that individual, right? Because we know when we hand money to that individual that it counts as income, right? So it's a way for it to save and still keep under that income requirement for that $2,000 resource limit. So this could be great for holidays, for birthdays, for grandma, grandpa, or just because if there's something that they're saving for. We see a lot of our families take advantage of this tool. So using the account, once the account is set up online, and to set it up online, it's going to, you'll need the information on the individual with a disability, their name, their birth date, their social security number, address, that kind of thing. And then also for the authorized legal rep, if they're going to be opening it as well. But once the account's established, they've got a username, they've got a password, that, going in and using the account, making contributions to the account is easy. You can do of course, write a check and mail it into the program if you would like. Payroll deduction. So we do see some folks that will say, they'll have all or a portion of their payroll go directly into that ABLE account. So you're saved directly into that account. Electronic funds transfer. So this would be, for example, they may have money in a personal checking or a savings account, and they can electronically make that contribution directly into that ABLE account from that external account. Automatic contribution plan. The system is designed where it will allow for families to, if you want to put in, for example, $50 a month or $500 a quarter, or however much you want to put in per year, and it will automatically do that for you to help you with your savings goals. Also, the rollover from a college savings plan, a 529 college savings plan. In the very beginning of the presentation, I mentioned that these are tax advantaged accounts, these ABLE accounts. They are sister accounts to the college savings 529 accounts. So some of you may be familiar with those accounts and the fact that those are tax advantaged accounts for families or individuals to save tax-free for college or for higher education. These ABLE accounts are tax-free accounts to be used for disability-related expenses. So they're sister accounts in the tax code. I know this is a lot of good information here you're very excited about. But this is cool because what this does is it allows for families who have set up college savings accounts, 529 accounts, and intending to use those monies for higher education, right? Later on, as the individual got a little bit older, found out that we're not going to be able to use it for that purpose, all for that purpose. You can actually roll over the funds that were in that college savings account directly into the ABLE account tax-free. So that's really, really helping a lot of families to be able to use that. Now, remember, when it goes into the ABLE account, it can be used for education, certainly, but it can also be used for other things related to that individual's disability. I just spoke about the online e-gifting, and then I mentioned earlier about the special needs trust. I will tell you that we do see a lot of our families that use special needs trusts also in conjunction with ABLE accounts. And so I will often get information, people will ask information on, well, what's the difference and which one's better and that kind of thing. And so I can't really give that advice, but I will tell you, as far as the ABLE accounts are going to give you obviously that more choice and then control on how you use the funds, right? Special needs trusts are great options as well. You can save a lot more money in the account. They are often costly to set up and administer. So that's kind of a couple of differences in the accounts, but you can set up that special needs trust to actually fund directly into the ABLE account. So something to keep in mind. As far as taking the money or out of the account or actually using it, right? We get a lot of people who go, okay, great, we've saved the money. How do we use it? Definitely whoever's managing it goes into that online account, their online ABLE account, username and password. We take a withdrawal from the account electronically, right? So we can say, I want to bring out $500 from my ABLE account. I'm going to put it into a personal checking or a savings account, and I'm going to pay for my disability related expense from that personal checking or savings. I'm going to keep my receipts. I'm going to utilize it that way. That's one way to do it. You can have a check executed from the account if you'd like. I'm gonna write a check for $120 to my medical provider, and it will execute the check and send it off to the provider, and it's done. But I will tell you that the easiest way, and the ways that most of our families and individuals are using the account, are through our prepaid card. Now, this is big because what the prepaid card is it allows families to have I'm going to change this slide really quick, to have a direct access to the funds in the ABLE account. So we work and we worked with a U.S. bank to provide what we have, and we call our U.S. Bank Focus Card. So this is just to be used for Texas ABLE account holders. And so what they do is whoever's managing it goes into the online account. They make that distribution from the account, that withdrawal, right? And they put the money on the prepaid debit card, this Focus Card. And so then the funds stay on that card. And then at that point, whether they're using it online, whether you're using it in person, it works just like a Visa debit card. So you can use it to pay for those disability expenses when they're out and about. You know, this is the great thing about the Focus Card is we see a lot of our families using this as a teaching tool, right? Because it's a way for the money to go on there, and then you can allocate as little or as much as you want on the card, and to show how we're using it and how we're saving, and being able to show and sort of a money management tool. U.S. Bank has a really good online platform as well as a mobile application. So it shows all of the transaction histories. It shows the balance of the card, and you can go in at any time and look at that. And so again, it doesn't cost anything to have this card actually as well. And then, you know, there could be fees based on if you were to use it internationally or something like that, then there's going to be a service fee. But generally, there's no fee to have it month to month and to use it. So it's really going to be the easiest way for families to use the card or use the funds that are in their ABLE account. I mentioned this earlier about the withdrawals. Important things to note that whoever's managing the account has to, you know, we ask that they maintain those records. We keep the receipts. Just being able to say, you know what, on November 10th, I made a withdrawal from my ABLE account. I paid for XYZ medical therapy, and here's my receipt, and I keep it all here. At the end of the day, if the IRS were to determine that the monies in the ABLE account were not a qualified withdrawal, meaning it was not used for the health, the independence, or the quality of life for that individual, that you do have to pay income tax or additional 10% tax and income tax on the earnings portion of that withdrawal that came out, right? So what this means is people will also often say, Anna, give me an example of what would be considered a non-qualified withdrawal. And I go, well, I can't really tell you that, but I give an example of, say that the family went on a vacation to Disney, and they used the funds in their ABLE account to pay for travel and hotel and all the fun stuff, because it's a quality of life expenditure, right, for the individual with a disability. But in the same time that mom and dad actually accidentally paid for brother expenses to go to Disney as well. So the IRS would come back and go, wait a minute, brother's expenses are not going to be counted, or they're not going to be qualified as they're not used for the sole benefit of that individual with this disability. So you would have to pay that income tax on that particular withdrawal that you took for that trip to Disney. So if that makes any sense, just to kind of give you an example. There are fees to have an ABLE account. So just to have the account in general, it's a $3.50 a month fee. roughly $42 a year to have the ABLE account, as it's an investment account. And then there's various fees, you know, if you want to have paper delivery of your statements and that kind of thing, but most everything can be found online. So there are not any fees as far as to download it online. Now with that $3.50 a month fee, you get 2 electronic withdrawals from that ABLE account. So anything above that is going to be $1 a transaction, right? So this is the importance of utilizing the prepaid card, because funds to a prepaid card or transfers to a prepaid card is considered one electronic withdrawal. And then you can utilize that card as much as you like without, you know, those additional fees. So that's where the card comes in handy for lots of folks. Now, the links that I have here for you, you know, these are out on our website as well. And I like to kind of include them in our presentations to let you know that, you know, I've talked a lot, number one, about a lot of information, but I've covered a lot of information from other agencies. So I've talked about the Social Security Administration. I've talked about
Anna, you just froze a little bit. Let's see if there we go. Okay.
I'm going to try one more time. I was hoping I would be able to get through without one more time.
No worries. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and try again. Let's see.
Are we there?
Yeah, you're good. Okay.
Okay. So the Social Security Administration, Medicare, Medicaid, the IRS. So these are all the agencies that we work with, and we're obviously the state. So we work with to administer the program. So we like to have these, you know, all of these agencies actually produce guides and policies on the way they treat ABLE accounts. And so it's on our website. We leave it out there because we encourage you to take a look at it. So I want you to go and say, hey, Anna was talking about the IRS. Let me go look at the categories of expenses that they provide for us. And let's look at some of this in detail. So these links are out there under the resources section on our website. The second to the last link there is the Texas State Securities Board. They have a really good website for sort of just investing 101 and getting started in investing. So if you have questions about that. And then the last link is the ABLE National Resource Center. I include this because this resource center is actually managed by the National Disability Institute. Lots of really, really good webinars, good point papers on ABLE. And it showcases all of the ABLE programs across the United States, but it's just good information to digest when you're wanting to learn a little bit more about the program. And then, of course, that first link is going to be our legislation that created the program, if you were interested in taking a look at that as well. Before I go to Q&A, I have them backwards here. I want to leave you with some information on connecting with us. I will say, first of all, when I spoke with Jackie in the beginning, I did mention to her that I'm going to send out a PDF of all of our slides from today. So I know that we'll be doing that, as well as some brochures that she'll have so she can push it out to anybody who would like to have a copy. But for all of you folks out there, you know, live, this is where this slide here is basically how you're going to get in touch with us, right? So if you have questions about ABLE, you have questions about the enrollment process, you just didn't understand one little thing I said, we have a customer service team. They work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. All they do is talk about Texas ABLE. You can call them and ask them anything. You can send them an email as well, and they're very responsive to get back with you. And of course, our outreach team, which is myself, and I mentioned earlier, Vanessa Goodson, we are the team for the whole entire state. We are based in Austin, but our primary job is to do outreach. So we do a lot of parent events. We do transition conferences. We do events. We did the walk and out in Dripping Springs. So I got, you know, a lot of the folks, we work with lots of huge organizations across the state. And so that's our job. And so if you know of any event, I mean, whether it's a church group, a parent group, or a huge event, we'd love to be a part of it and kind of help spread the word on that grassroots level. So feel free to reach out to us, and there's our contact information there. You can send us an email, you can call me as well. And then also we do have monthly webinars that we do, and the webinar schedule can be found on our website under the events section. And so you can go and register for a webinar if you just want to get more information, or know someone else that may be interested in learning about ABLE. We encourage you to go out to the website there and register for an upcoming webinar. Lots and lots of info. I know I probably do have some more questions that have come in along the way, and I know Jackie was working to compile them.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, you can still post them in the chat, but we've got a couple already. So,
Okay.
So the first is, I'm reading them off another screen. So, could you talk again about just how someone might qualify if they don't receive SSI or SSDI?
Sure. Yeah. So go back over those eligibility requirements. So yeah. So if they don't currently receive SSI or SSDI, one of the other ways I mentioned was that list of compassionate allowances. There is a list of conditions that Social Security Administration maintains. It's generally more rare types of illnesses and conditions, and they're constantly updating it. So there's a link out there on the website. You can take a look and see if that individual were to have one of those conditions, and meet that age requirement, they would qualify. But the way we see, SSDI and SSI are pretty much, that's the majority of the way people qualify. And the other way is going to be through that physician's diagnosis, that third option. And so what that is it's just at the end of the day, you've got to have that letter from that physician, an MD, that says that the individual's disability occurred before their 26th birthday. And they meet the definition of what is considered a disability through the Social Security Administration. Now, that definition is severe or marked limitations expected to last longer than 12 months or result in death. That's the definition. And so meeting that requirement, being able to have that letter, as I mentioned, when you go through that process to enroll, it's a self-certification process. So you check that box that I am who I am, the individual with the disability is who they are, here's information on their disability. You don't have to upload anything, right? But you would have to have that available if the program ever asked for that, as far as that physician's diagnosis letter. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, thanks. That's really helpful. And then is there a place online that people can go to that lists examples of the disability related expenses?
As far as you know what, we don't have it on, we have the categories online. Yeah. I do know that through that ABLE National Resource Center, they do have some information out there on examples of the way families are using it. That is a very good, we're in the process of revamping our website at this moment to make it a little bit more user friendly and get some of that info out there that because these are the types of questions that we get. But no, the categories are there, but as far as examples, I would check out that National Resource Center. They've got some good info.
Great. Okay. Thank you. And then our last question was, and this might, I don't know if this exists or not, but are there any training materials like with the debit card that you talked about? We know some adults with disabilities are using that successfully and, kind of being a little more independent. Do y'all have any training materials that kind of teaches families how to work with their adult with disabilities to kind of understand the debit card or kind of financial literacy type skills?
We don't. We don't have anything at the moment, but I will tell you, this is something, again, I know, Jackie, you and I have talked about, and the fact that just wanting to have some kind of guide or hands-on. We have information on how to use the card from you, but we don't have anything as far as a teaching tool. But this is a great opportunity to be able to have. So you're thinking something hands-on, like a piece of paper or like
or like a story, kind of simplified, especially for adults more with an intellectual disability too, or just
Sure.
more impacted by autism that might need more support and help, but still could be independent. Because I have heard of some families where their young adult has a pretty significant disability and is still able to able to use the able debit card.
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah, and so I know it, but just kind of learning and understanding money. I was just kind of thinking some basics for families so that they understand, money's in an account. Like, how does a debit card work? Just to have, the adult with the disability have some understanding of financial literacy and how a debit card really works and where the money's coming from. It's not that kind of thing.
That's all really, really good information. And that's a great question. I do know that there is some information out there on financial literacy, again, through that ABLE National Clearinghouse, the National Resource Center.
Yeah.
But this is really good feedback because we've talked about, we just created a little video, I mean, other than the video you saw in the presentation, but we've just created a little overview video for just Texas ABLE. So what we're doing now is we're trying to create some of the content around some of these subjects, these big subjects, and to create something a little bit more hands-on for people to be able to simplify. And definitely the debit card would be something, because we get lots of questions on that.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right. That's good. And then we had another question. It actually says, can money be sent to an ABLE account from overseas? So if you have family in Europe or people from another country that are going to be willing to donate or give money to your child or your loved one for their ABLE account. Is that?
Yes, absolutely. It would be, it's an electronic routing. So absolutely. You can, they can certainly write a check if they want it and mail it into the account. But that electronic routing is absolutely, you can, from wherever they want to route it from. Absolutely.
Okay. Good to know. All right, great. And let me see, I think that is the end of our questions. Yep, that's all the questions we have. So, Anna, is there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I mean, just thank you for the opportunity. And I know we've done this before, and just being able to get out the information. I hope you guys found, a little tidbit of value. And it's a lot of information to digest, so feel free to reach out. That's what we're here for. I mentioned earlier that I'm happy to send these slides to you and any other resources you want to push out to folks. We appreciate you and your support and allowing us just to be here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. And like Anna said, anybody, that's like, you can leave messages or you can just contact us and we can connect you with ABLE and give you these customer service emails and everything, all the contact information. If anybody wants to reach out to us, we can connect you and get you all the contact information for ABLE so they can help you and answer your questions. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to end this on, I'm going to stop the live stream now. Thanks to everybody for joining us. And Anna, thank you so much. We appreciate all this information.
Thank you, y'all.